Are you planning a visit to France sometime soon? If you're like a lot of travelers these days, you're probably considering a vacation rental instead of a hotel. Sites like Airbnb and Booking have exploded in popularity in the last few years, including here in France. But there are some common mistakes that tourists make when searching for and booking a vacation rental here in France. And making them can have a big impact on your trip. In today's lesson, I will explain 5 of these mistakes and how you can avoid them. C'est parti! One common mistake that tourists from the US or North America make when renting a flat in France is about the number of bedrooms in their rental. In French, une pièce is any room. It can be le salon, the living room, or a bedroom. Une chambre is a bedroom. Though most often la salle de bain, the bathroom is not counted as one of the rooms. So, un deux pièces, a two-room flat, un deux pièces, is often simply a living room and a bedroom. If you want to make sure that there are 2 separate bedrooms, you can ask, combien y a-t-il de chambres? How many bedrooms are there? Combien y a-t-il de chambres? This is a polite, formal question that will clear any possible misunderstanding with your host. You will learn more about French rooms in the blog post for today's lesson. Just click on the link below the video. This is also where you will find this lesson fully written that you can download or browse at your own pace. You also find extra resources and insights and vocabulary, and it is completely free. Just click on the link below the video to access it. French buildings often lack elevators, especially in older neighborhoods, especially in Paris.
The building is very old. It doesn't have an elevator.
This can be a challenge if you're traveling with des bagages lourds, heavy luggage, or if you struggle with stairs. Remember to check the listing for un ascenseur, an elevator. This way, no surprise when you get there. When you are in the elevator or in l'escalier, the stairs, l'escalier, be aware as well of the numbering of l'étage, the floor. Why? Because the ground floor in France is le rez-de-chaussée, And what Americans consider the second floor is actually le premier étage in France. Le premier étage, the first floor.
I just swept up these bags 5 flights. This is the 5th floor.
In France, first the ground floor, then the first floor, then the second floor, and so on.
That's weird.
Our next misunderstanding is specific to very budget-friendly accommodations in France. We're talking about the smallest one bedroom on the highest floor in Paris. These small quarters are called une chambre de bonne, literally the room for servants. This is where the staff for the big apartments was housed in the 19th century. And sometimes these quarters might not include les toilettes, les toilettes. Okay, don't worry though. In this case, you will find des toilettes sur le palier, des toilettes sur le palier, a small room in the hallway with shared toilet facilities. You might not enjoy having to get dressed and get out of the flat to use the toilet in the middle of the night, so check the description carefully. And if you are in doubt, you should ask votre hôte, your host, votre hôte. As an aside here, the French word un hôte for a host is sometimes confusing because it can mean both the host and the guest. When we need to clarify that we're indeed talking about the guest and not the host, we can also use un invité for a friend you invited over at a party, for instance. Un invité. Or un visiteur for a visitor, or more broadly or more simply un client for a customer or a client. Un client. But let's get back to the next of our 5 tips. In France, l'air conditionné, air conditioning, is more often called la climatisation, or la clim for short, la clim. And it might be a shock for visitors from North America, but air conditioning is actually relatively rare in France. For several reasons that you'll find in details in the blog post for today's lesson. But yes, many French accommodations do not offer AC. It is more common in hotels, but even then you might want to check beforehand. For instance, you can ask, est-ce que l'appartement a la climatisation? Est-ce que l'appartement a la climatisation? Or, est-ce que l'appartement est climatisé? Est-ce que l'appartement est climatisé? Does the apartment have air conditioning? Especially if you're traveling in summer, it's becoming more and more frequent to have une canicule, a heat wave in Europe. Une canicule. And it can be quite unpleasant sometimes to only have un ventilateur, an electric fan, un ventilateur to freshen up your room. Picking up le bon quartier, the right neighborhood can make a difference for your stay. And I'm not only talking about safe neighborhoods. On that topic, you will find good resources in the blog post for this lesson. No, I am talking about renting near the places that you want to visit. Because walking across town or taking different metro lines can be tiring after some time. Paris and most French cities are not as sprawling as the biggest American cities. So nothing will be too far off. But cars are slow in the small streets and you have the city traffic, so you end up walking a lot en montée, uphill, en montée, and en descente, downhill, en descente. I'm thinking particularly of the area of, can you guess? Montmartre, of course, Montmartre. It is absolutely lovely to visit, but it can be tiring to walk up that hill at the end of every day. Beyond tes centres d'intérêt, what interests you? You should check out l'ambiance of the neighborhood, the vibe, the atmosphere of it. For instance, some parts of Paris are quiet and residential, while others have des rues animées, animated streets, like le quartier latin, the Latin Quarter, le quartier latin, for example. In any city, choosing the right neighborhood is not about picking the best one, which is what students often ask me. It is about picking the one that is best suited to your lifestyle, your interests, and your budget. So let's recap our 5 tips. Understanding room count, checking for elevators, checking for essential amenities, checking for air conditioning, and choosing the right neighborhood. And you're now basically ready to travel to France. Of course, you might want to learn a little bit extra French to understand what French people are saying to you. You can learn more vocabulary in the blog post for today's lesson, or you can get on your next video about French words that French people never use and what to say instead. Click on your screen right here to keep learning, and I will see you in the next video. Allez, à tout de suite!